All right, so are you ready to dive into a new world? Today we're taking a look at One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. We've got some excerpts here, and they're full of details about these characters and their relationships. Oh, and there's this really intriguing mystery that kind of hints at time travel, maybe even some supernatural elements. So today our mission is to figure out who these people are, what makes them tick, and what secrets this story might hold.
Hmm. Yeah, it looks like the story is centered around August. She's a young woman starting a new life in New York City. And she seems to be a bit of a minimalist. She moved her entire life in just 5 boxes. That's pretty impressive. She also seems a little hesitant when it comes to social interaction, but she's determined to make the city her own.
That's an interesting point, isn't it? She wants to blend in, be anonymous even, but I get the sense that she can't resist a good mystery.
Yeah, definitely. It's like this push and pull between wanting to stay hidden, but also being drawn to the unknown. I think that's going to be a key conflict for August as the story unfolds.
For sure. Okay, so let's get to know August's world a little better. She ends up living with these two really unique characters, Nico and Mila. Their apartment is described as like basically empty, barely any furniture. There's even this mention of them using disassembled mousetraps for a sculpture.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a very bohemian, almost unconventional living situation. And each roommate seems to contribute to that kind of atmosphere. We learn that Nico is a psychic, which suggests that the story might explore some supernatural themes. Oh, and there's this detail about his shop being decorated with teeth. It adds this layer of mystery surrounding him.
It definitely creates a certain vibe, right? And then there's Mila, who seems like the artistic one in the group. Taking apart mousetraps and turning them into art definitely requires a unique way of seeing things.
Yeah, and it might even be a commentary on finding beauty in unexpected places.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what else they see as art that other people wouldn't even notice.
Ooh, I like that. And speaking of unique perspectives, we have to talk about Jane. She's the subway girl who catches August's eye. From the descriptions, she sounds incredibly cool and confident, but there are these hints that she's somehow disconnected from everyday life.
Right. There are some intriguing details about Jane, like she always smells like pancakes. It's a curious detail, makes you wonder if it holds any significance. And she can never seem to remember simple things like what she usually orders for coffee. All these little things suggest that there's something profoundly different about her.
Yeah, you're right. And then we get to the big reveal, the one that totally hooked me. Jane is actually trapped in time forever riding the Q train. What a twist.
Wow, that's a game changer.
Mm.
This time loop adds a whole new layer to the story. It makes you think about how this time loop works. Is it connected to Jane's past? And how will it impact her relationship with August?
Absolutely. And of course, August can't resist trying to solve this puzzle, can she? So she starts helping Jussa piece together her lost memories. They even create this map with pushpins marking every little detail Jane can remember. A blood stain on a booth at Max's Kansas City, a possible argument with a cook at a dumpling place on Mott Street. It's like they're detective partners working on a case.
And the Q train itself becomes more than just transportation. It's like this space where time stands still for them, a kind of sanctuary within the chaos of the city. I wonder if this shared space will ultimately play a role in strengthening their bond.
Oh, I think it will. You know, it's interesting because there are hints that August might have inherited this detective-like intuition from her mother. Her mom is apparently super involved in missing persons cases, so maybe it runs in the family.
That's fascinating. It suggests a lineage of investigation, almost like a family legacy. It raises the question, does August embrace this part of herself or try to distance herself from it?
Yeah, good question. So through all their detective work, August figures out that Jane's time loop is connected to a specific event in 1977, the blackout. Which is strange because thousands of people were affected by that blackout, but Jane is the only one who seems to be stuck.
That's true, which suggests there must be something else going on, something unique to Jane's situation.
Exactly. And then another twist. We learn that Jane was actually really close friends with August's uncle Augie, and he died tragically in a fire back in, guess when? 1977. Jane is filled with guilt. She's convinced that she survived while he didn't. Maybe that has something to do with why she's trapped.
Grief and guilt are incredibly powerful emotions. It makes you wonder if they're the missing piece, the anchor that's keeping Jane tethered to the past.
Right. So August, being August, decides to take a huge risk. Her plan is to recreate the conditions of Jane's time loop and somehow break the cycle. And to do that, she wants to use a planned event at Billy's, a diner that has some special meaning for both Jane and August.
That's bold. Recreating the blackout sounds dangerous, and there's no guarantee it will work.
Oh, it's definitely a gamble. But August seems determined. The plan involves Mila using her boyfriend's credentials to access the Transit Power Control Center and replicate the blackout conditions. Talk about dedication.
Wow, that's quite an elaborate scheme. And the fact that Mila's willing to lie to her boyfriend for this adds a touch of humor to the situation. It makes me curious about their relationship.
Oh, for sure. That little detail had me chuckling. Okay, so here's the climax. August actually manages to recreate the blackout. And just like that, Jane is free from her time loop. But their goodbye on the platform is described as incredibly emotional. It's like their time together, even though it was fleeting, had this profound impact on both of them. And right before the train pulls away, Jane tells August she loves her.
It's such a raw and powerful moment. It makes you think about the different ways we experience and express love, especially in extraordinary situations. It also makes me wonder what will happen to their relationship now. Will they stay connected, or will this be their last stop together?
So Jane is free from that time loop, but their goodbye was just so heartbreaking. The excerpts show August trying to deal with life after Jane. She's trying to adjust to life without Jane and that connection they had, and it sounds really rough.
Yeah, it's like it really shows how hard it is to move on after losing someone you really care about.
Yeah.
I imagine it's got to be disorienting for August to lose such a unique bond so suddenly.
Oh, totally. And then there's that whole question, did Jane actually make it back to her own time in the 1970s? Or did she find a way to stay in August's present? It's like the story keeps you guessing. I feel like it mirrors what August must be going through.
You know, I think that's what makes the story so interesting. We see August trying to go back to her everyday life, schoolwork, all those things that stay the same, even when your world feels upside down.
Yeah.
Shows how resilient she is, but you can also sense that underlying sadness.
For sure. I wonder if it's even possible to just move on after sharing such an intense experience with someone like Jane. The excerpts mention that August has always had trouble connecting with people, and Jane was different. She saw something in August that no one else seemed to...
That's a really important point. This isn't your typical breakup, August's connection with Jane went beyond the ordinary. They shared these incredible secrets, faced huge challenges together, and they built this bond based on trust and understanding. It makes sense that August would find it hard to replicate that with anyone else.
It makes you think about Nico and Mila, too. They were so involved in helping Jane, they became part of the whole adventure. I bet they're feeling the loss as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
They formed this kind of unconventional family,
Yeah.
all united by their desire to help Jane. It seems like this whole experience brought them closer, creating a support system that goes beyond just sharing an apartment.
That found family idea is so interesting, especially in this story. They choose each other, support each other, and they create their own sense of belonging.
It really makes you think about how we define family, doesn't it? Is it only about blood ties? Or can it be something more fluid, something we build through experiences and caring for each other?
Right. So life goes on, but August is obviously still thinking about Jane. And then out of nowhere, she gets a call from her mom with some news. Her grandmother passed away, and August has inherited something, which is totally unexpected because August describes herself as the shameful family secret. There's clearly more to this family history than we know.
It's interesting because this inheritance and the conversations it triggers between August and her mother reveals this whole new layer to their relationship. We learn that August's grandparents weren't exactly thrilled with her mother's choices, especially raising August as a single parent. It shows how different generations can have different values and expectations and how those differences can impact families.
And then another twist. August's mom tells her that her grandparents were never actually ashamed of her. In fact, they were the ones who insisted on leaving the inheritance to August. It's a total shock, and it makes you rethink everything August thought she knew about her family.
It's such a powerful moment of reconciliation.
Yeah.
Like this delayed acceptance that August really needed. It could completely change her perspective, not just on her family, but on herself, too. I wonder if this newfound understanding will help her heal from some of her past hurts.
Right. And it's fascinating how August's journey to help Jane kind of mirrors her own self-discovery. Both involve uncovering hidden truths, facing tough realities, and coming to terms with the past.
Yeah, it's a clever parallel. The story intertwines those two journeys. It suggests that by helping Jane, August is also helping herself in a way.
Definitely. And of course, August hasn't given up hope that Jane might find her way back. And then just when it seems like all hope is lost, Jane reappears on the Q train. You can practically feel that wave of relief and joy and disbelief washing over August.
It's such a heartwarming moment. I mean, you can't help but feel happy for August. But at the same time, there are hints that Jane is still struggling with her past. The guilt about Augie's death and the uncertainty of what's next for her. Her journey back to August couldn't have been easy.
It makes you realize that even though she escaped that time loop, she's still carrying a lot of emotional baggage. But August being August, she's determined to help Jane through it. They start building a life together in August's present, creating a home full of books and music and shared experiences. It's really sweet to see them supporting each other, finding comfort and strength in their bond.
There's this sense of hope in their relationship. They've overcome these incredible challenges, experienced unimaginable heartbreak, and yet they choose to embrace the possibilities of a future together. It speaks to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring nature of love.
I totally agree. It's not always easy, though. The excerpts show that Jane still has doubts, at times when she questions her decision to stay. But August is there for her. She's this constant source of love and support. Together, they start to heal from the past and find beauty in their present.
Yeah, and the story doesn't shy away from showing the complexities of their relationship, the ups and downs that come with navigating such a unique and challenging dynamic. But it also emphasizes the strength of their connection, the way their love endures despite everything.
And honestly, who wouldn't fall for Jane? She's described as this magnetic force, a captivating blend of strength and vulnerability. She's got it all.
She's a wonderfully complex character, full of contradictions that make her even more intriguing. It's no wonder August is so drawn to her.
And we can't forget the humor that's woven into their interactions. Jane's dry wit and August's deadpan delivery create some genuinely funny moments. It's a good reminder that even amidst all the heaviness, there's still room for laughter.
Absolutely. Humor can be such a powerful coping mechanism.
Yeah.
A way to find light in the darkness. It shows their resilience, their ability to find joy, even when things are tough.
Exactly. So they're building a life together, but there's still that issue of Jane's family. They have no idea what happened to her. They think she just vanished.
Yeah, it's really sad to think about Jane's loved ones living with that unanswered question, with that hole in their lives. It adds a layer of moral complexity to the story. It forces us to think about the consequences of Jane's decision to stay in August's time.
And August struggles with that too. She feels this responsibility to tell Jane's family the truth to give them some closure, but she also gets that doing so could ruin Jane's newfound happiness. It's a tough spot with no easy answers.
Yeah, it's a real ethical dilemma. Trying to balance loyalty and responsibility with the potential for hurting someone, it raises questions about the right to choose your own path, even if it means causing pain. I think it's a theme that everyone can relate to on some level.
I agree. So August decides to talk to her mom. Remember, she has her own file on Jane's disappearance. August tells her mom that she found Jane, and it leaves her mom speechless. It's a powerful moment. It's like this shift in their relationship, and it acknowledges that they've both been carrying this burden for so long.
Yeah, feels like a turning point, a recognition that their lives are intertwined and that they share this heavy history. It sets the stage for a deeper understanding between them, a chance for healing and maybe even reconciliation. It makes you wonder, will August's mom help her figure out this ethical dilemma? Will they find a way to tell Jane's family without making things worse?
So we're left wondering what happens next. How does Jane adjust to this whole new life, and how does August deal with knowing the truth about Jane's disappearance? It's interesting because the story doesn't shy away from showing how much Jane struggles as she tries to adapt to this new reality. She's obviously still dealing with the trauma of the fire and being stuck on that train for so long. But at the same time, she seems determined to make the most of this second chance she's been given.
Right, it's not just about adjusting to a new time period. It's about healing from all that past trauma, and finding her place in the present and figuring out what she wants for her future. There's this part where she convinces August to buy a bookshelf, even though August is such a minimalist. It shows how much Jane wants to create a space for herself to build a life with August.
It's like she's planting roots, right?
Yeah.
Creating a home. And it's not just symbolic either. I mean, they even go on a shopping spree at H&M to update Jane's wardrobe. Makes sense, though. Can you imagine wearing the same clothes for decades?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It shows she's ready for a change,
Yeah.
to let go of the past and step into the present. Plus, I think even something as simple as getting new clothes can be a big step in figuring yourself out and adapting to something new.
True. Malala gets involved, too. Always the resourceful one. She manages to get Jane a fake ID, which opens up a whole new world of possibilities. Jane even gets a job as a line cook at Billy's.
I love that. It's really heartwarming to see how quickly the community at Billy's accepts her. They embrace her talent and her kindness and her strength. It's like she was always meant to be there.
I know, right? It reinforces that idea of found family we were talking about before.
Yeah.
And it shows just how resilient Jane is. She's able to find her place, build connections, and contribute to this new community.
There's a scene where August and Jane go dancing. that I find really captivating. August claims she's not a dancer, but Jane pulls her onto the dance floor, and they just lose themselves in the music. It's such a beautiful representation of their relationship.
Oh, yeah. I love that scene, too. It
Yeah.
really captures the essence of who they are as a couple, you know? Jane, the free spirit, encouraging August to let go, and
Yeah.
August, the more practical one, allowing herself to just be swept up in the moment. It makes you think about those people in your life who bring out different sides of you, who push you to try new things.
And it shows the joy of just letting go, connecting with someone, and forgetting about everything else for a while, just existing in that moment. It's a powerful reminder of what it really means to live.
So true. It also makes me think about the choices we make, the people we decide to spend our time with and how those choices shape our lives. Jane could have gone back to her own time, but she chose to stay with August. She chose a life that's a lot more uncertain and challenging in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it really shows the depth of their love.
Yeah.
She's willing to face all that uncertainty and those challenges just for the chance to be happy with August.
I agree. It shows August's commitment, too. She's choosing to embrace everything that comes with loving Jane, including her past, the uncertainty of what's next, and the possible consequences of Jane being in a time that's not her own.
The story also touches on some pretty interesting themes about time and memory. Jane's experience being stuck in that time loop really makes you question our understanding of how time works. She becomes this living paradox, a reminder that the past doesn't always stay in the past. Her presence messes with the normal flow of time, and it creates these ripples that affect everyone around her.
It makes you wonder about what time actually is, right? Is it this fixed straight line, or is it more fluid and connected than we realize?
Yeah, it's a question that people have been trying to answer forever. And I think stories like One Last Stop give us a new way to think about it.
And then there's that theme of found family, which is so important to the story. August, Nico, and Mila create this unconventional but incredibly loving support system for Jane. They accept her for who she is, embrace her quirks, and they really want her to be happy.
It reminds us that family isn't always about who you're related to. It's about the people you choose to have in your life, the ones who really see you and understand you and love you for who you are.
Exactly. In the end, I think One Last Stop is a story about hope, resilience, and the power of love. It reminds us that even when we face loss and heartbreak and things that seem impossible, there's always a reason to keep going, to keep looking for connection and to believe that things can get better.
Yeah, and it shows that love at its core can overcome anything. It can break down boundaries, defy expectations, and even change how we think about time. It's a message that really stays with you.
Absolutely. And it leaves you with this sense of wonder. What if you were given a second chance at life? Who would you spend it with? What moments would you treasure the most? It's a lot to think about.
It really is. And with that, we've come to the end of our deep dive into One Last Stop. I hope you enjoyed exploring this amazing story with us.
It's been a pleasure uncovering all these fascinating things with you. We hope it inspires you to embrace your own journey, to cherish the connections you have, and to never underestimate the power of love.